Rangers kind of did that same thing on a larger scale. It looked a lot like the material. What the Rangers like, really bad, some of what I've been reading, of course, there's nothing about it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Yeah, it's pretty, it's, but you know, all fired up about it.
Yeah, he loves it.
Well, that's right. He's thriving in it, so.
Like I said, they're all sent back, what Richard, for the call. Can I call him? Okay. Can I bring it down? Oh, geez. One I'll turn into your thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's the, yeah. It was actually one of the best periods.
Oh, yeah, that's
You
good.
know, I've been wishing we could watch what you do. So I think we're.
Yeah.
But in the dance.
Papers, want to work out there. He did the last thing. Usually does it.
That's gonna be good.
Oh, yeah, he's not a city boy at all.
Okay.
That's a big old city. But, you know, I can tell, or gold miner can fill the buildings, and definitely a lot of opportunities for young people. Very.
Yeah.
For years. Save up. Come back. Right here.
My hair, all right.
Party, sir.
I'm good. How you doing?
That's right. That's right. I gotta drive it down. Thank you. That's where I've been changing the.
Distribution water. Distribution water. Okay.
For the home inspection for yesterday.
Yep.
Okay, perfect.
How are you today? I see you too. Great.
Oh, we close the houses.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
But then you should do, you did a great job. You're looking to do it.
Oh, 136. Okay, you're going. Yeah. 137 across the river where you're.
Your TR1 right over there.
You know, think of that, Arkansas Cycle Fitness, Red Spice.
Couldn't bring that over.
Yeah, good morning, brother. Yes.
I'm
They have to do Friday, Saturday morning.
Oh, wow. Yes.
So these go top morning. Yeah.
Well, that sounds like fun.
Yes. Big group, road.
You right too. Thank you.
How are you doing? Doing well. How are you? Good. Yeah, that was looking good.
They're all butter and dozen.
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah.
You know, it's a run through the desert. The mountains behind.
You seen it today?
You just show.
Yeah.
She's there.
Doesn't the force come through?
Good, man.
Didn't know how would be the best person to go. That's also. Pardon me? He's here.
Oh.
Right? Look in.
Yeah, he's. I know he's here.
They call them UAMS or something.
Would you, do I get a? Oh, I said it. I said it on top of the, maybe I got the chairs confused.
Here, okay, you know, they'll come here and help me or something, and they know right where to go.
And then do some practice on your tractor.
No,
I think so.
you know, cause I can't.
What's that? I could probably manage without, but. No, I'm just.
10 o'clock.
Yes.
Alicia, would you start recording the meeting?
Recording in progress.
Okay, I'll call the meeting to order. Inspection of guests, we have Dennis Badger. And we have Jesse Kloss with the AG office. And Mr. Webster. Okay. Roll call.
Michael Graffino.
Here.
Sarah Hawkins.
Here.
Brian Hester.
Here.
Wally Lovelace.
Here.
Julie Matthews.
Here.
Scott McKinnon.
Here.
Matthew Mueller. Sarah Stevens. Daniel Storley.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, we do have a quorum.
Okay, what about Matt?
Got no response from him. I expected him.
I need a motion to either Matt either be excused or unexcused.
Did we have any information from him? Talking to him yesterday, he planned to be here, so he may just be running late.
Can we table that and see if he shows up or?
Sure, we'll table it.
Yeah, we'll see if he shows up.
Okay, everybody's had a chance to review the agenda. I need a motion to approve today's agenda.
Make that motion.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, had a chance to review the board minutes from January 16th and March 17th of 2026. Need a motion to approve those minutes.
So then.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, next is, next on the agenda is a hearing for case CO I-26-1004. This matter will be heard by the Arkansas Board of Appraisers, Abstractors, and Home Inspectors. Today is Friday, March 27th, 2026. It is 10:03 a.m. For the benefit of anyone present who may not have participated in administrative hearing, the board will base its decision solely on evidence presented today. If there is anything that you want the board to consider, it must be offered in evidence today, even if you had previously submitted it to the board staff. This hearing is conducted pursuant to the Arkansas Administrative Procedures Act, which means that the strict rules of evidence do not apply, and the parties will be given latitude in introducing evidence. This is to promote a fair hearing and to provide the board with adequate information to make its decision. The administrative adjudicatory process should be more expeditious and less expensive for all parties than a judicial proceeding. The hearing should be much less formal, consistent with the fundamentals of fairness, impartiality, and thoroughness. As a hearing officer, it is my goal to make sure that a fair, accurate, intelligible record is developed. To ensure efficiency of the proceeding, I will grant objections or caution the parties only as necessary. All attendees should be made aware that these proceedings are subject to the Arkansas Freedom of Information Act, and as such, all parts of the hearing, including the deliberations of the commission, are open to the public and pursuant to state law. This proceeding is being recorded. For that reason, anyone who speaks must speak clearly and slowly enough that it may be understood. Please do not talk over one another, and please silence any electronic devices. For those of you who are or who may be witnesses today in this matter, please stand and raise your right hand to be sworn. So anybody that is going to be testifying today, I need you to stand and be sworn in. So we've got two. Okay.
You affirm and tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Okay, thank you. Okay, this is in the matter of Jay Webster. Counsel for the board, please identify yourself for the record.
My name is Aaron Lowry, and I'm with the Attorney General's office.
Mr. Webster is present. Would you please state your full name for the record?
J. Michael Webster,
Are you represented by counsel today?
I am not.
Okay. Are you aware that you have the right to have counsel present?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and if at any time you do not understand the proceeding, please let me know and I can answer your question.
Sir.
Are both parties ready to proceed?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are there any preliminary matters to be declared or offered at this time, such as any exhibits that you want the board to review?
Yes, sir.
I do have an exhibit packet I'd like to enter into evidence, published to the board. It's a list of 6 exhibits that are in one cumulative packet.
Mr. Webster, do you have anything you would like to present?
I do not, sir.
Okay. Okay, go ahead. These exhibits will be admitted into evidence and will become part of the record.
Mr. Chair, because this is the first time that the board is seeing this packet, I would ask that it takes a minute and go off the record and give them a
Yes.
chance to review.
Let's go off the record. Everybody review these. Let me know. That's up. Let me know when you had a chance to review.
Try it all, but yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Webster, would you like to come up here so you can be picked up on the microphone? Yes, sir. We're now back on the record. Would either party like to make an opening statement?
No, sir, I'll wait though.
Webster, would you like to make an opening statement? All right, yes, sir. Okay, keep in mind, board, this is not a time for questions or testimony. Parties may only explain the outline of the case and what evidence will be presented. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, sir. I believe everything has circumstances that delay, procedures from happening, and that's what I came here to tell you today. There's a lot of things that happened from, why it didn't get turned in on time. I'd like to have the opportunity to explain that, so you'll understand that I just didn't, ignore what I have to do. There was reasons that it did not get done.
Okay. Anything else?
No, sir.
Okay. Aaron, you may call your first witness.
I'd like to call Laura Wendell, or Wendell, rather.
Right here.
Will you please state your name and where you work?
My name is Laura Wendell, and I work for the State Board of Appraisers, Abstractors, and Home Inspectors.
And Ms. Wendell, you were previously sworn, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And what is your job title?
I'm an administrative analyst.
Okay. And as part of your duties as an administrative analyst, do you keep track of licensing requirements for home inspectors?
Yes, sir.
And does that include ensuring that a home inspector has a current certificate of liability and insurance on file with the board?
Yes, sir.
Did you monitor the status of Mr. Webster's certificate of liability in February of this year?
Yes, sir.
Now, Mr. Webster is currently licensed by the board as a home inspector, is that right?
Correct. Yes.
And his license number is HI-1935, is that right?
Correct.
Will you please turn to exhibit number 2 in the exhibit packet, board exhibit packet, I should say. You can take a look at that and then identify it further.
This is a certificate of liability insurance for Mr. Webster for his professional liability policy.
And up in the top right-hand side, there's a date. Can you read that date?
January 23rd, 2025.
And you did say that this is a certificate of insurance for Mr. Webster. Is he listed under the insured box, which is on the upper left-hand side?
Business is, and his address is, and his name is listed in the insured section under the description of operations.
Okay. And this was submitted in January of 25. When did the current or the policy expire?
This policy for the certificate of insurance expired February 7th, 2026.
And can you tell the board where you see that date?
It is under the row where it says professional E&O and the column where it says policy EXP towards the bottom.
Okay. And can you turn to exhibit number 3, please? And once you get there, can you identify this document?
This is the insurance expiration reminder that I send out, letting home inspectors know that their insurance is going to be expiring soon and to please upload an updated copy of the certificate of insurance.
Okay, and when was this document sent to Mr. Webster?
December 19th, 2025.
And how was this document sent to Mr. Webster?
It was sent by certified mail, regular mail, or first class mail, and email.
And that's on page 1 of the exhibit. Would you please turn to page 2 and identify this portion?
This is the email copy of the insurance reminder that was sent on December 19th.
And I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry, 2025.
And it's an exact copy of the letter that's on page 1, is that right?
Yes, sir.
What's the email address that you sent it?
jwebster@housecallusa.net.
And in this letter, did you identify the date that the insurance was set to expire?
Yes, sir.
And what was that date?
February 7th, 2026.
And where do you see that on the letter or on the?
In the middle, in red.
Okay. So he received this sometime in December of 2025 and it expired in February 26. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Did Mr. Webster submit an updated certificate of insurance to your office on or before the coverage expired on February 7th?
No, sir, I did not receive anything.
When the updated certificate was not submitted to your office, what was the next thing that you did?
So once the certificate has not been sent by the expiration date, the next thing that I do is I get with Ms. Diana to verify that she has not received anything, or the AHIB at arkansas.gov email address has not received anything. Once I verify that she has not received anything and the AHIB board email address has not received anything, that's when I prepare the letter letting the home inspector know that we have not received the certificate of insurance and their license will expire within, or will be suspended, I'm sorry. Their license will be suspended in 30 days if we do not receive it. And I also prepare the consent agreement and the invoice for the civil penalty.
Okay, could you please turn to exhibit number 4? Identify that document.
This is the letter letting the home inspector know that we did not receive the certificate of insurance and they have 30 days or their license will be suspended.
And what day was this letter sent out?
February 13th, 2026.
And how was this letter sent to Mr. Webster?
This was sent by certified mail, first class or regular mail, and email as well.
Please turn to page 2 of the same exhibit. Is this an exact copy of that letter that was sent to Mr. Webster, only this time by email?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and what day was the email sent out?
The email was sent on February 13th, 2026.
So 6 calendar days after the previous certificate expired, this was sent out to Mr. Webster. Okay. Did Mr. Webster respond to this email?
Responded to the invoice that was created. Responded to the invoice that was created.
Okay, and could you please turn to exhibit number 5? 3-page exhibit, if you just take a look at all 3 pages and identify documents.
This is the response from Mr. Webster. Once the invoice is sent out, he responded back saying that his insurance company sent it. His insurance was renewed prior to expiring. And that was sent to the AHIB board email address on February 13th at 4:16.
Okay, and then on page 3 of that same exhibit, can you identify that document?
That is the updated certificate of liability insurance for the professional liability policy.
Okay, and again, in the top upper right-hand corner, what's the date listed on that certificate?
February 5th, 2026.
Was it received by your office on February 5th, 2026?
No, sir.
When was it received?
February 13th, 2026.
And how did Mr. Webster submit that to your office?
By email, the AHIB
Was it
email address.
attached to these
Yes,
emails?
sir. It's attached to the email.
I'll pass it with us.
Mr. Webster, do you have any questions for the witness?
No, sir.
And do you have no other witnesses?
No, the board will rest at this time.
And you had no witnesses, correct, Mr. Webster?
Just myself, sir.
Okay. If you would state your name, mailing address for the record, and then may tell the board what.
Okay. J. Michael Webster, and my mailing address is 71 Fineza Way, Hot Springs Village, Arkansas, 71909.
Okay, go ahead.
So as everyone knows, we were hit with the ice storm on January 24th of this year. My wife's a travel nurse. She got home that night and she was ill. Where I live in Hot Springs Village is very hilly. And she continued getting worse over that time. And from 27 to 31 January, I had lost my cell phone service and my internet service at my house due to the towers going down in Hot Springs Village. So I had no access to update this on the 28th. My wife, like I said, she's a travel nurse. She's working in Batesville. I brought her up to Batesville to bring her to the hospital where she's working at because she could spend time there, not have to leave. And she was admitted the next day with kidney failure, due to a medical error. So from that day on, I was basically in Batesville, not working, not doing anything, taking care of her at the hospital. On the 3rd of February is when I updated my insurance and I asked the insurance company, I'm sorry, I started the update on the 3rd. I finished on the 5th because there was some information they needed that I didn't have with me at the time. And I completed it. I asked them to email AHIP and not paying attention to my emails because of my wife's condition. And she was released on that day, brought her home. I missed the email that they said they couldn't send her or didn't send it. So as soon as I received the email that it was not sent, I immediately sent the copy. And at no time did I do inspections without insurance. I had insurance, but the homeowner and my client were covered at 100% of the time. The only thing that I failed to do because of my situation was submit it to the board in a timely manner.
Anything else?
No, sir.
Do you have any questions, Aaron?
I don't believe I do.
Do any board members have any questions for Mr. Webster?
That she had kidney failure?
Yes.
Any other questions?
And I'm sorry, I do have the documents and I don't want to share it with everyone of when my wife was in the hospital. If you'd like to see that, but I'm not going to share any private information with everyone.
Anybody like to see? Okay. Anything else you'd like to add?
No, sir.
Does either party wish to make a closing statement?
I would make it, ask to make a closing statement at this time. Ladies and gentlemen of the board, your job right now is to make a decision. You have to make 3 decisions. You have to decide if the allegations of fact that are listed in the notice of hearing were proven more likely to be true than not. You need to then take those facts as the board finds them and apply it to the charge and determine if there was a violation of any of the board rules. And then finally, you need to decide if there's an appropriate sanction if there was a violation. Now, to do that, I'm going to refer you to exhibit number 1, which is the notice of hearing. This is going to be your roadmap and walk you through all of the allegations that I listed. And you can decide based on the testimony that was given today and the evidence that was presented, whether or not each of the 6 allegations was proven to be more likely true than not. This shouldn't be a difficult decision because it was basically undisputed. Mr. Webster agreed to most of the allegations, I believe. But even without Mr. Webster's agreeing to it, if you go through each one and you look at the exhibits that were submitted, these allegations were proven today. So if you start with exhibit number 2, that was the certificate of insurance Ms. Wendell testified to, shows you that the expiration date of the insurance was on February 7th, 2026. On December 19th in exhibit 3, let's see the email reminder that was sent out. Exhibit number 3 is the, I'm sorry, exhibit 3 is the December 19th letter. Exhibit number 4 is the February 13th email that Mr. Webster replied to by saying that it had been sent and attached the certificate of insurance. If you take a look at those exhibits and couple it with the testimony that was given today, I'm going to ask that you make a decision as to which of those were proven to be more likely true than not. If you make that decision that they were proven, then they become the facts that you then move on to the charges section. And you use those facts to determine if there was a violation of Home Inspector Board Rule number 3, specifically 3E3. And that's listed as exhibit number 6 in your exhibit packet. So read through that and determine if that charge has been proven more likely true that this was a violation of that rule. And then the last decision that I'm going to ask you to make is if this violation did occur, what sanction, if any, is appropriate in this situation? Thank you.
No, sir.
This time, the board will deliberate to make a decision regarding the findings of fact, conclusions of law, and order. In other words, the board will now make a decision. It's open discussion.
So. Says is the responsibility of the inspector to provide this to the board prior to last. Present. That's the first thing. Second thing is the inspector was notified 2 months prior to that happening. And although it was removed prior to expiring, no violation of that. The violation is wasn't supplied to the board as stated in our rules of ethics and how we operate. So I find some details different. So we have set in place, and there's a sanctions fine for that. It's set. It's not to our discretion. That is set, and that was what was originally offered. But now we have extended fees associated with where we're at. So that needs to be taken into consideration in my mind. Whoever I'm not saying.
Yeah.
Speak up.
But we're paying now. For the, we're fine with this.
I have a question, for Ms. Linda. During the time that you were working on this and communicating, did you ever have communication in any way with, the home inspector, telling you that he had the policy renewed and was good to go? I mean,
No, ma'am.
okay, I didn't see it here, but I just didn't want to
No, ma'am.
overlook. So there's never communication.
No communication until February 13th, 2022.
And what were the dates when you reminded of the ice storm and everything was shut down?
The ice storm hit where I live, 24th, and I did not leave my house until the 28th. And I can go into a lot of detail of how I got out of my house, but I don't think that's relevant.
And that was in January?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you receive any notification from your insurance company that the policy was about to expire?
I did when my email started working again. And that's the day I took care of it.
But not in the 60 days before.
Yes, sir. I most likely did. I don't know exactly when I got that, but it's written on my whiteboard above my desk saying, take care of insurance. And I was not able to do it at that time. And because of my circumstances with my wife, it wasn't high on my priority list. That was my priority.
So my mind goes to, just personally, I know we're all different. If I get a certified letter, it gets my attention. We all get emails and not downplaying emails, but you did receive certified letters.
I did not, and I can explain that. I was on vacation when that came, and the person picking up my mail never signed it, put it back in the mailbox. So I never received the actual certified letter. I believe it was in December. I found the stuff in my mailbox, but it was already sent back by the time I made it to the post office on January 4th or 5th. So I wasn't there when the certified letter was delivered, so I never actually received it.
So someone else was signing for your certified mail?
Well, someone was picking up my mail and just put it in with everything else. So no one signed for my mail, but it was sent back prior to me receiving the notice and trying to pick it up at the post office.
In the email said the insurance company sent the COI over, was that?
I asked them to, and I'm not exactly sure what happened with that, and, I tried to get answers for that.
That's what I said, I don't get a response where they acknowledge they sent it and didn't get there or something. And then can you just remind us when your wife started getting sick?
She was actually sick when she came home on the 24th. My wife's a runner and she had a hip injury and they were doing pain management. And what the doctors provided her, started shutting her kidneys down. And she started just before that, like the 19th, I believe she started. And she went into the hospital on the 30th and was released on the 5th. In Batesville at the White River.
Process that over.
What?
We just put forth opinions on my first go around here, so.
Well, you can have all the discussion you want, and when we're discussing it, then I'm gonna ask for a motion. So you tell me when you're finished.
Are we just deciding as far as claim value right now, or are we discussing?
You're starting with the allegations of fact. And so as a board, you have to decide if 1 through 6 were proven true. So you go, some boards go individually by one and they take kind of a poll before they make that motion on each allegation of fact, or you can take them all as one to say 1 through 6 were proven true or not proven true. Then you make a decision as far as what the charge was proven. And then lastly, the third decision is make a decision as far as what type of sanction. So 3 separate decisions.
So right now, we're just determining. This is true or not, we're not discussing first.
Right, so usually if you go through the allegations of fact first, then you can get to the other parts.
I think it's pretty clear that allegations A1 through A6 have been proven. Everybody disagrees.
Okay, I will entertain a motion. To that effect.
Make a motion that allegations A1 through A6 have been found true.
Okay, is there a second? Any discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Well, for the record, it was unanimous, but. Next, I'll entertain a motion as to whether or not facts support the charges listed in the notice of hearing.
Just the charges section, paragraph C1. Those facts are for the violation of the rule that's listed there.
I'll make a motion that the allegations been found true support the charge C1.
Just see one.
Just see.
Okay, is there a second? Second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Well, at this time, I'll entertain a motion on the appropriate sanction.
previous offer of 250 had been made for a sanction. Original sanction, right?
I'm not aware of that.
Oh, okay. What's read?
As the license was reinstated when all this took place. The license has been reinstated.
So you have to just consider what's in the. Okay.
License was never.
On for outclaiming insurance. Time.
And that fine has not been paid. So far.
No, that's what.
That's what's on this. Clarify.
The 250 civil penalties, correct? That was up for discussion.
That's what.
You can add or take away, whatever you decide. The board has a lot of latitude as far as the sanction that they can impose. The civil penalty, suggested previously, this order him to, for continuing education, suspend his license, revoke his license. But the evidence has to support that section, whatever it is. So you have a lot of that.
I'm okay. Limited to a monetary, so the penalty, I think. If any one of us had a spouse or family member going through things, and I can vouch for, you couldn't drive anywhere when that's one of us, so if you're out of power and electricity, so I feel there was time beforehand to have handled it before this hit, and so I think that it was appropriate. Well, so I don't feel we need to pile on top of that, given the scenario circumstances.
You need add to, we agreed to.
I would say not to exceed a monetary consequence, so I'm not aware of how we navigate this.
Saying no education, additional, no suspension, no.
Personally, I don't think
revocation.
that an education moment or suspension or revocation is necessary. I think monetary is sufficient given the circumstances.
And again, I need that in a motion.
So we make a motion to move forward with a $250 civil penalty for what we have identified as failure to comply with our current board statutes and rules for submitting your COIs in a timely.
Motion made, second. Second. Any discussion on the motion? Not, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed and it was unanimous. The board's decision will be reduced to writing. Decision will be mailed to all parties by regular mail. If any aggrieved party cares to appeal the decision, appeal can be taken pursuant to the Administrative Procedures Act found in Arkansas Code annotated section 25-15201 and following. If there are no other questions and comments, this hearing is concluded and the record is now closed.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Want to take about a 5-10 minute break and then the board meeting?
Can you want?
Sure.
Recording stopped.
Yeah, that's appropriate. You got to take the lead on the position. It wasn't like that all the time. So, well, yeah, I'm sure you can. Yeah, we go and spend 20 still. It's cheaper. No, he didn't. He did a good job.
We're off record, so.
We are-
It's gonna come back on the record.
Okay.
Well, I would like to discuss, because I would like to tell him
Okay.
to the board.
So I sent out emails and I said, see Laura and everything. So I actually tomorrow. And I'm like. No, I looked wrong. The record. I see
Alicia, would you stop recording?
I already did.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
I would check that and make it go out before I leave today.
Yeah.
Hey, Diana.
Yes?
Hey, it's Melissa. It's Melissa. Good morning.
Hey.
Are y'all going to continue with the appraisal board meeting after?
We are. As soon as we all take a break, we will go into the board meeting. But while we're off the record,
Yeah.
I've got there is no fee for you to look into for your
Wait, I can't,
afternoon
I
time,
can't,
or
I
I'll
can't
call
hear you.
Okay,
I cannot hear you. There's too much.
it's too much
background.
noise.
Yeah.
We'll talk in a little bit.
Okay, that's fine.
They're calling roll and he's out there going, but I don't hear.
I'm looking at text and my health.
I don't have,
She kept taking calls.
Yeah, I don't think.
It would be the one meeting we're gonna hear you. I want
Especially.
I just wanted to be clear that I was. We're held up in that. It's a different thing.
The mask?
Yeah.
Oh, we're supposed to eat everything. Everybody says.
Yeah.
Into that, you know, not.
Let's say that.
People said it.
Well,
Then we can say in Spanish.
I don't use the offer.
That's just like, so out, just reading to you. Yes.
They're good.
Well, I did pretty all right. You know, we've been told.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh.
Hear me? I didn't. If you, that's what I said.
That's fine. Irritated you a little bit.
Hopefully I'll. Right, you just let me know when you're ready. I hope
You're having it out. You know, world.
I'm sorry, I didn't ask your name without introducing you. That's all I did. I'm sorry. That's how I. Yeah, I'm glad you're doing that.
That's a
I'm still listening and I still don't see what else moving.
You don't get it.
Certified letter.
I had to walk out of it, so. I had to, when I think about it, I'm there. And these places are hard. Everybody, oh, they straight up. And so everybody's there. I mean, no requirement.
Yeah.
Yeah. We do that. We do the topic.
Diane.
But Karen, thank you for bringing that down.
Yes. Sometimes I do that.
I really appreciated the point.
Yeah.
That helped.
Sometimes I'll do that in the opening meeting, and kind of let everybody know, but this was a pretty, it wasn't a very complicated issue. So I kind of thought the documents spoke for themselves.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Thank you.
Is there ever a moment where you're looking for without them sitting there listening? I usually see them too.
They used to,
Hearing.
It's a very awkward, like.
prior to the last legislative session, somebody left the room, the board deliberated in private. And I believe it's same senator that decided we needed a home inspector investigator. Was it to change the rules where deliberations are open to the public? And I can see where that is very uncomfortable.
What's the stipulation on that though? Is it in the moment that he has to be in the room, or can it be available later for him to go and revisit?
Well, the deliberations have to be public.
So the public deliberation, it used to be an executive session, that was in statute. But that statute was changed this last session. And so now everything is on the record.
Lots on white.
Everybody, every member of the public, including the licensee, is allowed to stay in it.
It's ironic that someone who wants heavier consequences would create a scenario where doling out those consequences is more awkward and confrontational.
But it's more transparent.
Yeah.
That was the whole thing, it was transparent.
Okay, are we back recording?
Alicia, we're ready.
Recording in progress.
Okay, getting back on the agenda, Diana threw me a curveball, second curveball today. Chairman's report.
I'm gonna go back on the list. I'm gonna statement tonight.
Okay.
I want everyone involved to know that all of that was news to us. We had if he had reached out to us, we would have worked with him.
He didn't tell you any of that before.
No, if we had known any of that, the only thing that we were told was that was how he's always done it in the past. We were not told any of that.
No.
We don't go at this to find, this is not a money grab. And this is not us trying to be hateful people. If we had known any of that, then we would have been understanding as to what had happened. But when you come in today with all new information, it makes it difficult for us to do our jobs. All we ask of anyone in this process is to keep us informed. And I understand that perhaps he didn't have access to email, but his phone would have been working and he could have called and said, even if he'd had to leave a message, hey, I'm having problems. I'm going to get with you guys as soon as possible. As soon the weather or whatever. That was all news to us. So I just want you to know that we weren't just trying to be hateful about this. We try to work with everyone. And I do take things to heart and things offend me, and I was offended. Being caught flat-footed, and I just wanted to make my statement. I'm done now.
Okay.
I don't think anyone in this room feels there's any kind of shortcoming or any wrong, and we are all feel that y'all did your job well and excellent, and I think we just talk about this for a minute. Sure. I think for me, and obviously it was an awful moment trying to figure out how to dole out a consequence right here. I wasn't aware of the numerical, I knew there was a cost, Michael mentioned it, but for me to further explain, if the actions had caused harm to the public, I think you have a different moment versus the person going through an individual and his business. And in my mind too, if your wife is sick and you can't afford to not be able to work for a minute, so that was maybe that. I was just to be true.
My heart goes out to him. And everybody here knows what I went through, and no business ever stood. And then mine went for years.
And just to give the board an idea of why we do this and why we make a record, if someone were to appeal the board's decision, it would go to circuit court. And rather than have a new hearing, the circuit court would read the record from this, and they would look for some reason to support the board's decisions as far as whether the allegations were proven true, the charge was proven, and then if the sanctions were reasonable. And so everything that is said on the record is what the judge will look for. And that judge is not a home inspector, he's not an appraiser, he's not an abstractor. So he relies on your expertise to tell him why this was appropriate. So some of the conversations you're having now would have been appropriate during the deliberations, so that the judge has some insight as to why you came up with this number. Because if he doesn't know, then the argument that's always thrown around in administrative reviews is it was an arbitrary and capricious decision. They just picked a number out of a hat and just went. But if there's some explanation as far as how the board came up with that number or why they felt it was appropriate, even with this person's testimony, why it was appropriate to continue with the fine, that's what a judge is going to be looking for if this ever does go to a hearing.
So just so I'm clear, he could have paid the fine and not come to this hearing. Just dropped off.
That's correct. So the way that it works, the way the board does it, is if this person is late, they will send them a consent agreement with the $250 fine. Saying, you were late, you violated this rule, it's $250. And then that person has a choice to either sign and accept the consent agreement or come to a full board hearing and explain the reasons why, which is what happened today.
And the board set the 250. You guys said and voted on that at a board meeting.
We did.
So that's not just a number. We said, hey, well, we're gonna charge you 250 and we're gonna charge you 800. The board set the 250. So that's the reason we sent that amount in the consent agreement.
So we didn't drag him in and blow half of his day.
No.
He chose to do.
Yeah.
He requested the hearing.
What's the additional cost for legal and court reporter?
700.
Well, we're, that was a, no,
Legal.
Michael is not.
I'm just here anyway.
Yeah.
I'm here.
But, yeah, Aaron's stuck with us right now, so that, you know, and we don't have to pay for the Attorney General's office, but if we did have to pay, but we've spent time and effort in getting all this together. The court reporter, I'm guessing, will cost us at least, I don't know, probably at least, the 250 will at least will cover the court reporter. It depends on if he appeals it and then we have to get the transcript, then it may cost us $1,000. Because that's just, we don't get the transcript unless it's appealed. So there is additional cost to this and aggravation.
250 was very generous. I mean, we fined him.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, this is not a money grab. We're trying to. And I've said this way too many times, but the hardest thing for us is to get the home inspectors to give us a copy of their certificate of insurance. So there's got to be some consequence to not doing it on a timely manner.
When he got the notice of being fined, the consent letter, did he call?
He did not contact us when he got the letter. He contacted us when he got the invoice where we invoiced him
For the fine.
for the fine. So the email that we sent him, he didn't reply to, but as soon as he got the invoice, then he called us.
Well, people have to pick up the phone and communicate. So, and that goes both ways, but being on his end of having deadlines and having to meet stuff, the easiest thing to do is to call somebody. And then you're a human instead of a number on a letter. And just like you were saying, the extenuating circumstances, y'all would have worked to resolve that. The only other thing I'd comment on is when you send the letter out saying that a consent letter, you might put in there, if you don't have it in there, that if you want a hearing and are found to be at fault, then there will be additional cost incurred that may be accrued to you. Would that be appropriate?
Probably not.
But he's exposed himself to a higher penalty because we could have charged him. But I chose not to.
And again, I don't mean to be the devil from that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is in there though, that they have the right to come in front of the board, because they always have the right to come in front of the board.
Word travels fast. I mean, it was the whole point in placing a monetary stipulation to them. And it could have been me as easy as it could have been him. You know what I'm saying? It could have been any of them, you know, pay your fee. Like, we aren't picking on anybody, Diana. Okay. We aren't picking on anybody. Okay.
But we've had similar stuff before that we've considered the circumstances around and let, you know, okay, well, we'll let that one slide this time, but he knew before his wife got sick, he knew before the storm. He said he got a certified letter January 4th or 5th, and then he still waited another month to even renew, and then he didn't provide after that, so.
The other thing that he didn't tell us is, I have insurance through that same carrier. They notify you 4 months before your expired or renewal, 4 months. So yeah, I am like 99.98% sure we got a renewal notification 4 months prior to February 12th.
Well, he may have handled the renewal part without forwarding the seal, you know what I'm saying? That's the.
All right,
Sorry.
moving on.
Next.
Chairman's report, not much. Ones that weren't here yesterday. We had a great day with Dennis Badger on bias training. It was a lot more enjoyable than what I was anticipating.
That's scary. I was gonna be like getting kicked in the shins for 6 hours.
Only other thing, for the appraisers, I know this is March, but June 30th is right around the corner, so if you need some hours, you need to get them before June 30th.
May I ask a question about, one item? As far as the proof, so to speak, that you had the bias education class, does that stay with the state or does that go on to, any higher group? No,
No, that's just for us.
so that doesn't go to the foundation or anybody else?
No.
But they're the ones who are requiring it.
Right. It's the state's responsibility to make sure that all of our licensees have it in a timely manner within the parameters of when it's necessary.
So that's another burden for you all, along with the fact that this is a youth pack year. Okay, I just wanted to be sure.
And keep in mind, going forward, you gotta have 4 hours every education cycle. What Diana and I were talking about this morning is sometime after June 30th, let's just say this fall. If we could get Dennis back and go ahead and do our 4 hours this fall, and be done with it for 2 more years. Okay, committee reports, education, Sarah?
We have, not as grand agenda as we had time, but we are getting several requests for approval. Just to give you an idea, for, some of the conferences that are coming up. And, so I want to tell you all that Sarah has, really reached out and helped a lot. We get incomplete stuff and things that are a little bit on the, questionable side. And she spends a lot of time following up and cleaning up the, things that we're not, sure about. And I just want to, I know she's not here today, but just to let you all know that she, continues to be, such a positive force and has been so, so much a part of helping us move this forward. I mean, I think that we, have a good process and, it's because not only Sarah, but, Laura and Susie are always there, calling people and following up on crazy questions that I submit. So I appreciate that very much. We'll start out with, of course, approval. You all have that in your agenda. First one is from, the e-learning people. And this is, again, if you look at the way that I've got it set up, the first two things are for their, conference, day 1 and day 2. First one is for 7 hours of CE. The second one is also for 7 hours of CE. I'd like to consider them together. And I'd like to recommend that we go ahead and approve for the appraiser e-learning, days 1 and day 2, 7 hours each time. Anyone?
So move.
All right, second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Thank you very much. It was approved. All right, next from the appraiser e-learning group, we have 4 secrets to appraisal. And this one is an online CE. It's for 4 hours of CE. And I'd like to recommend that we approve that for the 4 hours. Thank you, Julie. Second. Okay. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. And lastly, under the appraiser e-learning LLC, we have a 4-hour presentation, Gray Matters, Judgment in Residential Appraising. And again, ask that you approve that for credit. Like a motion for that. Second.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? All right, that's approved. The next one is for the Appraisal Institute. And we had 4 submissions from them. 2026 conference, days 1, days 2, and each of them varying numbers of credit hours, 3, 4, so 7 hours for day 1, and again 7 hours for day 2. I'd like to let you know that we did have to communicate with the Appraisal Institute on a couple of issues involving instructors and credit hours. Everybody wants us to credit for lunch, and we don't do that. And so, a lot of back and forth with the Appraisal Institute in terms of trying to get them to get their hours to agree with our policies. And the breaks, we don't get credit for that either. So, we're trying to maintain a continuity here with all of our providers, and to make sure that we are getting credit for classroom material, and that's it. So I'd like to ask you all to consider all 4 of these as one motion. And my recommendation is that we approve all 4 of the classes. and for the stated, credit hours.
Quick question.
Yes,
That's 17 names as instructors for 30 hours in the morning.
Yeah.
Why is that?
well, what they're doing, Brian, is.
They don't get much time each.
No. This is just a kind of a stand up and make your comments and sit down. So, and it's pretty fast paced. Some of these people are, well known in that particular area that they're talking about. They have a lot of different topics. So when you're talking 3 hours for day one in the conference, just, I see Steve Roach on here. We'll probably be talking about combination appraisal work or testimony. But he's not gonna monopolize the time period.
Big round.
Speed round. All right, any other questions?
I guess they're all just kind of like the speed rounds all day, each day.
That's right, that's right. And it's, from my past experiences with them, it's the kind of thing where, as you go in, you're, counted and sign up, et cetera. And then, you get your certificate at the end of that session. So, anytime you have a day-long process with a whole lot of people, it gets a little cumbersome. We try to monitor. Good job all the time, but we try. Okay, so, I think Susie, we got a motion. All right,
Sunday.
second,
Second.
and discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next up, we have a 6-hour legal descriptions for rural professionals, from the farm managers and rural appraisers. This looks to be a pretty interesting, class. We haven't had anybody, submit or anything that has, the kind of information that I read in this particular one, just dealing with legal description. And that's something that we find sometimes in the appraisal reports that we review, doesn't get covered very well. So, I thought they did a nice job, and, 6 hours of CE. I'd like to recommend that we approve, and anybody, would like to make that motion.
Make a motion, we approve.
Second. All right, all in favor, any discussion? All right, all in favor? Any opposed? And the next one is business manager and associates, valuation bias and fair housing laws, regulations, ARCE, QE, I'm sorry, thank you. And I can tell you, we could all talk about what a nice job did yesterday, we appreciate it. Could I have a motion? Any, a second? All right, any discussions?
I can't believe you want to stand up and repeat all those acronyms all day again.
And we have a kind of an adjunct to this over on the home inspector page, so, bear with me when we get there. Michael and Matthew. Okay. All right, so, all in favor? Any opposed? RWA, the next one, actually, we have, this is the evaluation of partial interest. They have presented this class several times. This is a pared down version in terms of the number of hours that are being presented. We have approved in past times the presentation for, and they've taken a day out. And so they had 7 more hours in the other presentations that we have approved. Dr. Van is the instructor. We've also approved him. But they're cutting their time down by 1 day. So that's why we're looking at it again. And I'd like to recommend that we approve. And it's 23 for CE and 24 for QE, because an exam does accompany this particular presentation, and you have the option take these in or do not. Could I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? All right, then we have, what's the bond for appraisal reporting, 3.6, this is 7 hours of CD. I'd recommend that we approve, buddy, please to make a motion. Second.
Second.
All right, any discussion? Almost in favor? You opposed? Okay. Dennis Badger and Associates is asking for an appraisal proctor approval. And, they follow the rules for submission, et cetera. I'd like to recommend that you prepare, proctor submission.
Move to approve.
All right. All right. Any discussion? Dennis is here, he can tell you all that. Okay, all right, all in favor? And then we have, one appraiser, he's asking for individual credit, Kate Hampton, 16 hours of CE, from the International Right of Way Association, class 900, their principles of real estate engineering. And she took that as a classroom, presentation. And, I'd like to recommend that we accept that for credit. Have a motion. Second. All in favor? Oh, any discussion? All in favor? Okay. And then on the next page, we see the home inspector continuing education course approvals. First one is for Ashley, 4 hours of CE, fund the fittings. And, I'd like to, ask for a motion.
So moved.
Okay, second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? This is the next request is for a home inspector approval. And this is from the Home Certification or Inspection Certification Association. And, this is for Stephen O'Donnell. And, he was also approved previously for, an instructor, another group. Like a motion to approve. Second.
Second.
All right, any discussion?
So, is it going out on his own, because he used to teach for annually, so he's going out on his own now, is that, or you know?
I don't know.
Okay.
I do not know.
by today. So I'm reading it.
I think it's wrong.
Okay.
So he's a shit.
Okay. Understand.
Just wanted to let you know that we have approved to approve. All right. Any other questions? All in favor? Any? And final, home inspector individual credit approval is for Michael and for Matthew. They attended yesterday the, valuation files and fair housing. And so we need to, work through this group to get credit for that for them. Good, motion. Second. Discussion.
I will say that that class is going to change some of the verbiage I use. We don't have by it, like, appraisers do. I will change this verbiage.
That's some language I need to change.
Using neighborhood names. I just live in a house around other houses.
All right, all in favor? Any opposed? very much. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Financial reports, Sarah?
The treasurer report for the record today, $2,160,442.71. I recommend that someone makes a motion to approve this. Thank you. In a second. All in favor? Any opposed?
Okay. Staff reports. Aaron, you're up first.
Nothing new to report on any complaints, but I do just want to take a minute to remind everybody of some of the FOIA changes that happened in the last session. It's nothing new. I don't think that it's going to surprise anybody, but what the legislature did is they took some of the attorney general's opinions, and some of the state court decisions on FOIA, and incorporated them into the statute. So the big one for this board, being that it is such a large board and y'all do see each other outside of here, a meeting of this board has to be a public meeting, meaning it has to be recorded, it has to have access, and also has to have notice that the meeting is about to occur. A meeting is now defined as two or more board members talking about board business or business that is likely to come before the board. So whenever y'all are together, you can certainly be together, you can eat lunch together, you can talk about your private lives, you can talk about your business lives. You just cannot talk about issues that come before the board. So just like in this particular time, we had the hearing, we went off the record, and some people started to discuss what happened at the hearing. Can't do that until you're back on the record. So this would work for emails, phone calls, private conversations, anytime that you're discussing board business with another board member. The protections of FOIA are going to be initiated, and the public has a right to hear that. So just keep that in mind as y'all talk to each other and keep outside of meetings. And if nobody has any questions, oh yes.
Does that pertain to a board member and a staff member as well, or only board?
Only board members. Okay. So 2 or more board members. So you can have as many discussions with Diana as you want. You can have discussions with me. It's just when 2 or more board members get together.
Understand.
Okay. Investigator report, Susie.
That's gonna do the appraiser report.
Okay.
I'm gonna do the appraiser report. I'll do it pretty quickly. We met on March the 4th, and we covered a lot of ground in a fairly short period of time that day. We looked at 8 cases for jurisdiction. In 7 of those cases, we found that the board does have jurisdiction. In the one that we did not, that we said we had no jurisdiction, there was no report that was provided with that complaint. For the summary of the probable cause hearings, we heard case 24-1144. Allegations were errors and omissions, and the recommendation was to dismiss. 25-1146, errors and omissions, and the recommendation is to dismiss with caution. Analyze all sales and other transfers of the subject property that occurred within the prior 3 years of the effective date and summarize the results of that analysis. Case 25-1148, allegations are errors and omissions. Recommendation is dismissed with caution. Analyze the pending listing and current agreement of sale and summarize the sales of that analysis. 25-1150, allegations are errors and omissions. The recommendation was to dismiss. 25-1151, allegations, errors, and omissions, dismissed with caution. State that the use of this hypothetical condition might have affected the assignment results when using a hypothetical condition. 25-1162, the allegations are violations of use type. The recommendation is a consent agreement. The respondent must complete a 7-hour manufactured housing class, a 4-hour supporting adjustment class, and a 7-hour site valuation class. Classes must be completed by June 30th of 26. We might have meant 27 there. Do you think we meant? Scott?
I think so.
I think we meant 27. So let's give him some extra time. That's going to be 2027. And That is the appraiser investigator report. I would like to also mention that in each of the cases for probable cause, we had the reports from our contract investigator, and they certainly were an asset in helping us resolve these complaints. And Mr. Chair, you want to go ahead and get that one?
Now, can I have a motion to approve the appraisal? Second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Susie, you're gonna do the home inspectors?
Okay, on March 10th, we had 3 jurisdiction and a probable cause committee meetings on case 230047, allegation code of ethics violations. We found no jurisdiction. On case 26099, understanding needed repairs, jurisdiction. The complaint had allegations of plumbing and electrical issues, a dysfunctional garage door opener, propane gas leak, and generator issues. Case 260100, understating needed repairs, jurisdiction. The complaint includes allegations of the report stating there was presence of mold, and the inspector failed to include his registration number on the report. Probable cause, case 230046, SOP violations. Recommendation was to dismiss. Case 230048, SOP violations. Again, recommendation was to dismiss. Case 230049, SOP violations. Recommendation to dismiss. 230050, SOP violations. Recommendation to dismiss.
I think you got a page 2.
You need a page 2 there.
That's what happens when we edit at the end. Sorry.
There you go.
I thought we did more. Okay, 230051, SOP violations, recommendation to dismiss. 240057, code of ethics violations, full board hearing. The complaint includes allegations of conflict of interest, as the home inspector inspected the property and completed general contract work without pulling permits and stated all work was complete when it wasn't. The respondent's home inspector registration expired 12/31/24, and he has not responded to the complaint. The committee decided to take the complaint to a full board hearing. The home inspector would be required to complete discipline decided on by the board before he could reinstate. Case 240059, code of ethics and SOP violations. The committee recommended a consent agreement. The complaint includes allegations of conflict of interest because the home inspector was chosen by the complainant's real estate agent as well as roofing issues. The home inspector requested to place its registration in an inactive status as 9/12/25. The committee decided to reoffer the home inspector a corrective action agreement. He would be required to complete an 8-hour defect recognition and report writing course before he could reinstate. These hours would not count toward his reinstatement hours. Case 0087, SOP violations. The committee recommended a consent agreement. The complaint includes allegations of water intrusion and failure of the man-made stone siding. The home inspector has not responded to the complaint and requested to place his registration in an inactive state as of 12/31/25. The committee decided to offer the home inspector a corrective action agreement. He would be required to take a 3-hour how to inspect moisture intrusion course and a 3-hour report writing course before he could reinstate. And those hours would not count toward reinstatement hours. On the home inspector insurance suspensions, we had cases 3025 1006, 1002, 1005, and 1006. They were all given a consent agreement and a civil penalty of $250. We received signed agreements and paid civil penalties for all 4 of those.
If not any questions, can I have a motion to approve the home inspector report? Second. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Okay, director's report.
Director's report, so some of the things that we've been going, to update the board, we will be having an ACIC, which is Arkansas Crime Information Center background check audit this year. Susie and I have gotten everything together for that audit. I met with the IT department, since on our website, we're still listed as the old, by each one of the individual old board names. So we are creating a landing page where you go for State Board of Appraisers, Abstractors, and Home Inspectors. And then it will take you, if you select which board you're looking for, which division you're looking for, and it will take you to that division's information to kind of make us even more cohesive as one unit. So we're working on that. I went to the REA education class they had recently. Everyone was very kind. I got some swag that they were giving out front, so everybody was really sweet. And they asked good questions about how things were going, and I was really happy to be there. It was a positive meeting with them. If you've been in my office in the last 4 years, you've noticed a wall of boxes. We now have we had 15 shredded the other day. We have another 16 ready to shred. So you can now see my desk. We are very happy about that. So Sarah Johnson's working hard on that, helping us with that process. Then on Thursday, a couple of weeks ago, we had to put out our appraiser contract investigator position for bid. I got my bids back in. The bid has been awarded to Mr. Dennis Badger, and so he will be our sole provider for appraiser contract investigation work. Susie and I, as some of you may know, we lost two of our folks, two of our staff members in late last year or mid last year. Laura replaced Devin Parker, and we've now hired Deborah Hayes to replace Armistead. So we'll be back to having more staff than I've ever had since I've been here. So we'll be back to being fully staffed. I think you'll like Ms. Hayes. She seems to be a lovely woman, but we look forward to having her start. She starts on April the 6th. And over last weekend, Mr. Badger, who never takes a break, emailed or texted me, or emailed one, and I think perhaps both, a copy of an executive order signed by President Trump. The order directs the federal banking regulators to modernize appraisal regulations by expanding alternative valuation models, reducing unnecessary appraisal requirements for low-risk transactions, and setting clearer timelines for appraisals. So we're just going to have to watch and kind of see what happens next, because I've not heard anything further about what's going on. After we met by Zoom, we had our Zoom board meeting where the board approved the rules. We did start our public comment period. That started on the 20th, and it runs through April the 20th. And at Ms. Stevens' request, we did email all of our licensees, home inspectors, appraisers, and abstractors with the links to the rules, and we've answered a few questions. There's not been a lot of comments. Most everything within, as you well know, most everything in those rule changes was in response to acts that were filed in the last session. And as Scott alluded to a moment ago, April 1, we will be starting the appraiser renewals. They will run for a full 3 months, April, May, and June. We are going to send out emails along the way, but when we get probably in mid-May, we will be letting folks know that you need to get it in by the middle of June, or I cannot guarantee this is an education year and it's still a new system. So I'm not going to be able to guarantee that you're going to have your new one in your hand by June 30th. you will be renewed on time, but if you send, if normally, I'll report to this board at a board meeting in May and say that we have 12% of our appraisers have renewed because most of them take 28 hours of CE the last week. So if they choose to do that this year, they may have to wait for a minute on an active license because we're not gonna be able to process them that quickly. So we do have that going on as well. Everyone, and one more thing to add to that is that Susie is in the process of moving all of our non-resident appraiser licensees to a June 30th renewal date as well. So this is a big transition year for us to get everybody moved. But we're going to be very busy between April 1 and June 30th and probably the next month thereafter. One other thing, I think Susie's taking a week off in May or close to it. Maybe more, depending on how things are going at that time. And my sweet granddaughter graduates from high school and I will be out for a week in May. So, but not the same week as Susie. I think we've managed to pick 2 separate groups. So there's just going to be a lot of moving parts. Be ready for, we'll try to give you 2 weeks notice. We're going to reach out to you about some more complaint hearings and business as usual other than that, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Can I have a motion to approve the director's report? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. Old business, potential home inspector ethics violation notification follow-up report. You like to expand on that?
Well, and sure. As you all know, at our last board meeting, we discussed the BNI company and companies like that. They're not the only one, and we sent out an email to everyone. We sent a letter. I thought it was a lovely letter too. Aaron wrote it. That we sent out to everyone to let them know about BNI, and then we got responses. The first response came a mere 15 minutes after we sent out the letter. So there you go. So you should have a separate supplemental information that we need to go through these one at a time. I'm going to read it. You guys can read quick that I'm going to,
Neanderthals.
Thank you for sending this. I'm not a member of ASHI. There are other more relevant modern groups that we should consider as industry leaders, such as InterNACHI. ASHI's thoughts reach on this do not apply to inspectors in other states, as this is a common practice to joining network groups. Arkansas is behind the times and holding hands with ASHI, an old think organization. We may be the only state prohibiting it. Did anyone check that? Perhaps inspectors are receiving disparate treatment because the industry is composed of knuckle-dragging, lowbrow Neanderthals who are unable to conduct business ethically.
Could you repeat that? I couldn't hear you.
Please confirm if we're being treated differently because of our collective incompetence. This begs the question, is a different standard being applied by this board to one profession of your governing jurisdiction? If inspectors aren't Neanderthals, then most certainly home inspectors are not the only people that would be ethically compromised by being in such a group. Awaiting confirmation, this will now apply to appraisers and anyone else covered by this board. Based on this logic, any appraiser in such a networking group receiving referrals from a real estate agent would automatically inflate or deflate the value of a property unethically to keep getting referrals from this agent. It would then follow that anybody who's a member of a BNI group is unethical and has questionable morals. An entire network of underhanded business dealings across the U.S. and around the world. I'm surprised the federal RICO statutes aren't being applied by law enforcement. Please provide clarity as to when this will apply to everyone else under your purview. By the way, BNI does not require you to use other people in the group they recommended. We need to do better than this double standard. I await your response. I sent this to both Aaron and Scott at Aaron's suggestion. We put it on the board today. So let's let Aaron answer what we need to do, what the board needs to do now.
think the board needs to decide how they want to respond to this. So the question, he asked a couple of different questions, some sarcastically possibly, but he's asking if this would apply to all appraisers, home inspectors, and abstractors. That's going to be on a case by case basis based on what the rules of each of those professions are. So if the board wants to use that as a response, or if they want to go through the actual analysis and decide if this would be a violation for each of these, you can certainly do that, whatever the board wants to do. But I thought it was important because he did make a response to the board's decision that the board respond rather than just putting that on Diane.
I think that's a pretty simple response. Each one has its own representation of rules that it follows, and specifically as to what is entailed for him is unethical for inspectors to pay for referrals. That's what being is.
And as we learned yesterday, Rachel have a different client.
Exactly.
They're waiting for a bank, not a board buyer, correct?
Or for estate agents.
Even if we're responsible.
Anything else? I don't think so.
Unless there's another question here that I'm not sure if that's any.
I mean, the only other question was down there in the bottom about keep getting referrals from agents. And so and as he was, just like Matt just said, appraisers don't, their client is the bank. It's not the real estate agent, it's not the buyer.
Well, in addition, I don't know if his intention is to try and apply the same rules to appraisers or lift the restriction on home inspectors. And what the intention is there, but we made a decision on why it applies to inspectors.
And if the borrower or realtor is involved requests a certain appraiser, that appraiser is automatically on. So.
Perfect proof.
Yes.
Part of the interagency guideline.
I guess there are safeguards and boundaries in place for appraisers that apply specifically to their trading responsibility. We're not here. We'll be sure to work hard on it. Here's the
Right,
mic class. Take the class together.
He's asking also when, please provide clarity as to when this will apply to everybody else under your purview. Is that a question? I mean, you did leave the question mark, but is that something we need to respond to?
They can respond to that in the very first answer, you know.
I think so. The answer to that is going to be, it's not, unless the rules that govern his profession prohibit
Changes.
right? So,
But
No,
it,
we are not interested in play with this one.
it's in effect now. Okay. Okay, so that was our first response, and you're going to see all of these solely because I don't want to be the reason someone says, well, Diane said you could do this, and then all of a sudden we've got a big problem because I don't, you guys need to be the decision maker on this. But the next question was, the next one is, this also includes sponsoring or donating to a real estate board, which we're associate members of. They just want to confirm because they come to us for support. We want to send them this letter, or if you can do so, so they are aware, please. And then he came back and he did include the request for an example of a request for a donations on the next page. This is Christy with Coldwell Banker and Rogers. I'm reaching out to you because I'm the vice chair for the NABOR Awards Banquet Committee this year and looking for sponsors to help us put on this wonderful event on March 7th. The sponsorship is $1,000. I have more info that I can send you in an email if you're interested. Either way, just let me know. Thank you so much for your consideration. And his question is it okay for him to donate $1,000 and sponsor a table? The answer is no.
And I'm a member of this same favor board,
Uh-huh.
and not that board, but they call it that. I'm an associate member in that as well, and I've received this same email, and she got a response from me that said we are not allowed to use says home inspector, so that board, the neighbor board has been informed by me as an inspector.
Okay.
I'd like to discuss that for a brief moment, because I see where it clearly crossed that line. My distinction would be, and I know we have my first thought was if I can't bring a cookie to your meeting, I can't sponsor a table. But I don't know if that's something we're allowed to revisit or discuss or better clarify, because to me, there's a difference between marketing and then reciprocity. And some of what we're doing, I think, is hindering home inspectors' ability to effectively market themselves. Where if you can sponsor a table and that does not result in me being placed on a preferred list, then to me, I don't have an issue of I'm getting my logo in front of people and brand recognition, all that is marked. To me, it's where there's an exchange or ability to prove an exchange for some preferential treatment from that monetary. Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes sense.
Because not to open this whole can here, but to me, I've mentioned this a few times, the referral list has to die. Like that, it's an ethical mess. The fact that realtors are referring home inspectors, period. You get blacklisted off of a list if you're good. If you let things slide, you get elevated depending on the realtor. All realtors are not the same, so I don't want to paint with a broad stroke there.
Thank you.
I didn't say which one I thought you were. I'm just kidding. No, but there's great realtors that want a thorough inspection and want their clients to have the best, and there's others, full agencies that will remove you. They want to close deals and push things through. So that is in itself, the minute, if you're referred by a realtor, the minute you step onto that job site, which is 99.9% of inspections, there's an ethical dilemma there, because you have responsibility to your client and you have an agent that if you don't do things the way they think you should, you don't get referred work. So thankfully, a lot of us, I would say the majority, compartmentalize and say whether I'll keep or lose the referral, my duty is here. But that being said, in an effort to move the needle about, getting away from a referral list and ability to put us in front of people, so there's going to have to be some kind of give and take eventually of diminishing that referral list, but elevating our ability to better market and put our name in front of people. So that may not answer or solve any of this, but I think it's an important conversation to be had. This kind of lands in that.
And I don't know if it's for this meeting or not, but to elaborate on what he says, on this specific organization, neighbor in Northwest Arkansas, they do an event once a year, and it's for the Special Olympics. And so they put on an event and you can sponsor a table and all the proceeds go to the Special Olympics. I do not participate in that just because I feel like that's, according to our code of ethics, I'm giving money to the organization regardless of where it goes. And whether or not I get referrals from that, it's neither here nor there. But that's a completely different situation, donating to a cause versus donating to a club organization. So this food for thought.
What do you think about all this with the ethics and liabilities and referrals? And
I think a lot of it's gonna depend on the context. I think that there's a difference between providing cookies to a real estate office and giving $1,000 or $10,000. Or I think one of the examples when Diana talked to me about this was, I don't know if it's this case or not, but the issue was brought up. The person was gonna buy a trip on a cruise, and that was gonna be a gift given to these real estate agents, brought to you by the home inspector. That's problematic. That's different, I think, than showing up and providing refreshments or something like that. So I think that it doesn't always have to be a violation. I think that, and where that line is something this board has to decide. And that would probably happen on a case by case basis.
And we're prohibited. Monetary value. I think that was previous board, right? That all.
Yes.
Yes.
So yes, I don't know if that's carried over with the current standing.
My apologies, my cardiologist scheduled some tests this afternoon that I need to go prepare for, so I didn't realize we were gonna have a long hearing. But for the record, some realtors have a short list of inspectors that have vast years of experience. And one that was on my short list was nicknamed the deal killer. So, to maintain credibility and integrity, I have a fiduciary relationship with my clients and with my buyers, and so that's valuable to many. And other people don't know the definition or how to spell fiduciary. So we live in a flawed world.
Great for good results, Wally.
Yeah, thank you. I'm gonna take my mic out here so I can't eavesdrop on y'all in the lady.
One thing that I want to ask you, Aaron, if we kind of go into the paying for the cruise type thing, and we do it on a by case basis, we're kind of looking at it, we'd be looking at it after the fact, that, it's already done and.
As a violation.
Yeah.
I think normally that's how you would look at any violation. Somebody has to report that there was a violation made, go through the investigation process, response from the person, and then maybe it's signed. I think in most cases, that's probably how this would work out. These people are asking for a declaratory order. They're asking before anything happens, do you think that this is a violation of your rules? And so these are a little different. What the board is being asked to do is a little different than you would at a hearing. You're being asked almost a hypothetical type of question. And so in this particular one, you might need more information to answer this. And so a proper response to this person, Fish, who's asking this, you might ask, what does the sponsorship get you? That puts you on this. Does that, is there a list of sponsors that were made that is made available to the realtors that they then use to tell their clients, hey, use this guy because he bought me a cruise, something like that. So in this particular one, this particular question, the board may have more questions based on this fact. Usually when these are responded to, you spell everything out. The board would spell everything out. This was your question. These are the facts. Here is our answer. And then that's what's going to prevent what Diana was worried about. Unless the facts are exactly the same, the board has leeway to then say, well, you were talking about cookies. Now we're talking about a cruise. That's a different fact situation. The analysis is going to be different. So with this one, if there are more questions that the board has, then that would be the response of the board. They fill in these blanks for us. Let us know what, more information about it is anything response. Anything else?
Well, let me get some more information, because I think in the short run, and we can have a much longer conversation at the next board meeting, but here's the problem. People call us often because truly the home inspector wants to do the right thing. But if they can do it, they want to know they can. If they can't, they want to know they can't. So I think we're going to have to set some guardrails up for them so they know that they're coloring in the lines when they do something. Because I don't see a problem with cookies personally, but I see a problem with the cruise. And I see a problem that perhaps the sponsoring and table and having your name all over it.
Well, would it be appropriate to give you and your staff latitude? I'm gonna make up a number, maybe, but up to $250 is not a violation. Anything over $250 is a violation. Again, I made up that number. But would that help, hurt?
I think it comes down to the question, the age-old question here, as Aaron has alluded to, is are they benefiting from it? If it's $250, or if that's the limit, and you give $249 to something where you're going to get 6 orders, it's like buying business. So
so tough for me because that's what marketing is. I'm spending money and investing to get in front of people and have exposure to get work. Where it becomes this conflict moment is when you're going to, like the realtor thing is the, I should apologize for what wall of sarcasm, but like, it doesn't matter how good you are and how many reputable inspectors you put in front of somebody. Whether you're the one putting the best or the worst, like you are steering your client in an area that you are not knowledgeable. You can feel like somebody's good, but you don't know what it takes to inspect the home. So who are you to determine, inspector bias is what we've got going on. But it's how do we equip our home inspectors? We got the whole mandate of this is a dying industry, like we're hurting here, but we're not allowing or equipping home inspectors to be able to market effectively to the people that are driving them business. Because as of right now, the way we have the system set up, you can have the best website and the best everything. If realtors don't like you, you're not getting work. If you take too long, you're not getting work. So there's a lot of hurdles that we have in our industry, and the quick shot in the success is realtors, the way it's set up right now. So it's tough because we're like, this is who you need, but you can't market with them and taking a hand.
It would come down to a previous, communication or agreement. Like, hey, if I sponsor this $1,000 table, are you gonna tell realtors to recommend me? That's just, there's always that fine line of what is the law, what's legal and what's not legal. And
how do you prove
that one question beforehand makes it illegal. And, so I think it's just circumstances and case by case. I don't know that we can.
Okay.
So how do you prove that you chose me because of what I did in that room versus my competence?
So
it's hard.
Always the intent is to get work.
Well, what I don't want is for my staff and I to say, for somebody calling us to say, yes, you can do that. When no, they shouldn't have done that. Or we say something and we would always follow up with an email and have it in writing. But then appraisers do me the same way. It's, well, Diane said I could. Well, no, Diane didn't say you could. But this is what Diane really said. I don't want us to be the ones that bear the brunt of the responsibility to say whether something is right or wrong when it comes to an ethical violation.
But the appraisals, the appraisers don't fall under the same issue, correct?
Appraisers sort of kind of do. But not to the extent and not like home inspectors do. I personally don't see an issue if I'm on a real estate company and Matt's going to come talk about roofs and he brings some business cards for everybody in the room and some cookies and a latte from Starbucks. I don't have a problem with that. Because they're either going to use Matt or they're not going to use Matt. They're going to like him or they're going to hate him, they're going to say, he found in the roof. They're going to have another reason they use him or they don't use him. But I don't see a problem with them going and trying to help realtors understand, and we all know they need help. So I can be sarcastic too. We don't, it's good to be in front of them. It's good to try to help different people learn a little bit more about what you do. You guys learned yesterday listening to an appraiser class more about what we do.
I think a lot of it too is so much of your business you're selling yourself. Realtors want to see how you communicate, how you interact with people. There was a season, not that you want to say, okay, so here's what I did but realtors have a weekly meeting. My very first year of inception, I would call and I'd say, hey, can I come and talk during your weekly meeting? Can I introduce myself? Can I put up a demo of a report and talk you through like a mock report and what my software looks like and how this looks? You have to present yourself. Otherwise, you're lost in cyberspace. And that all comes down to buying ads, right? With Google.
I would love to see a transition in the industry from going and trying to court realtors to being in front of the consumer and the public and then having the responsibility of finding us based on our online presence, reviews that are there, all that stuff. Because again, I don't know how it's allowed to function the way it has for so long when it is, I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but it's like every time you go in there, and I appreciate everyone that's ever referred me, because it's how I grew my business, how we've all done it up until this point. But just because it's how it's always been done, doesn't mean that it's the right way. And it's, I think a lot of these issues, probably that Senator Bryant is running into, I'd be willing to bet that a good chunk of those are an individual that was referred to a client that wasn't qualified or ready to go do that inspection. But the realtor said, pick one of these. And so, because the high volume, busy, I'm not saying anybody's perfect or above making mistakes, but those big moments are usually because someone who wasn't ready or shouldn't have been in front of that home was put there and oftentimes endorsed by the person selling the home. And so it's just a big problem.
The realtor is the quarterback of the transaction. They're the point man on the whole transaction.
Oh, they're the quarterback, the running back,
They run the whole thing, and like you said, the deal killer, that's how they see it. They just want it to go through. So it's almost like we need to put some burden on the realtor to have some tie back for the home inspectors, because they're the ones who, steering this thing and driving the deal to close.
It's completely unethical, because your paycheck depends in many cases on how my report comes back.
But to have to put the onus on the realtor to have some kind of fiduciary responsibility to
I don't even care. My bills are so high.
the seller or to the
Don't
buyer,
call me. I'm gonna do my thing.
It's
Don't
the
call me.
seller's agent that's driving.
So it's
The buyer's agent has a fiduciary responsibility to the buyer.
They do, but
But
to
it's-
Wally's point, it's all subjective, because if you don't have a knowledge of what a good home inspector is, you may be able to say, I referred the best 3 I know, and they're all dog water.
Really
You
feels
just-
like to me, it needs to be set up more like the appraisal, and that there needs to be a third party.
They have from the banks or
The
something.
people
like
that are directly benefiting financially from the transaction aren't getting to pick the appraiser and the home inspector and everybody that's gonna benefit them.
That's
Go
where
their way.
I don't like the idea of a rotational, like from a bank standpoint, because I think that for inspection, what we do, because it is a lot of subjectivity and conversation. I think that's, the client has to be the one, the consumer has to go find us. They find their own realtor, we kind of gripe all the time, I'm getting like my soapbox here, but lenders, every part of that transaction goes and takes the realtor out to lunch, every one of them. Courts and brings about, because the realtors are the ones, use this lender, use this so-and-so, use like this appraiser, this termite, they're the ones that are directing the entire thing. And so, for us, I like the idea of us being able to build our business off of our competence and our marketing and how we do our job in front of consumer, and removing that piece of what to me is just clearly an ethical violation, to be choosing who gets to be the last line of defense between you and buying a bad home. So I don't know that we have any kind of ability to do that, or that's a conversation for someone who can write something and put it in front of us. But it's a thing.
So I agree, but yet I kind of disagree, if we're all gonna be transparent. So in where the rubber meets the road, there has to be some sort of relationship with the realtors in our world and the home inspector. There has to be that. I see what you're saying on you want to completely shift that dynamic. I don't think I'll see it in my career life. Like, I'll probably retire before that ever transpires. So what really kind of raised my antenna, Aaron, thought, where you said, hey, can we put a monetary value on this? Can we say as a board, hey, if you want to go do a demo at a meeting and you want to host them a lunch after that, that's fine. You put your 250 cap on it. Is that completely unethical, or is that something that the board is willing to say? Because that's marketing. I could go to a realtor meeting and sit in front of 30 realtors and buy them lunch for $175 or $250 and give them my 30 or 40 minute spiel and market and sell myself, or I can spend that money on Google and pay an analyst to SOI things out to, they Google search this and it gives them a pop-up with my name at the top of the list. I don't know, but I think it's valuable.
I just don't see, of course, I'm not a home inspector, and Don't see anything wrong with what you just said. And then, whether it's 250 or 500, I think anything over 500 is probably a little edge.
And the other two home inspectors may completely disagree, and that's okay, because we're just having an open conversation.
I just don't like the fact that we're talking about how to market to the realtor and not the consumer. That's where the hiccup comes from is we're not actually marketing the people that we're advocating for and defending and helping. We're advocating the people that are gonna put us in front of them and decide whether or not we should, put our stamp on that home. That's where to me, there's such a,
Well, in my area, there's not really a lot of opportunities for business excellence. I'm in rural Arkansas. And so for me to go to should I go to the Lawrence County Fair and set up a booth and maybe, you see what I'm saying?
Northeast Arkansas Fair, the Green County Fair.
It's your time and effort put into that week, the amount, it's gonna be very, very minimal for me in my area.
well, in either instance, we need to have some kind of a you can or can't there because we gotta be able to market it. Again, for the person, we're all pretty sociable and we can walk in and shake hands, but there's guys trying to get this industry that cookie's their only icebreaker. And if they don't have that moment of I brought food for you, it's a very hard, and they may be great at their job, but they just are lacking that. They need a little icebreaker.
Yeah, what's your thoughts on setting a monetary cap?
The only problem I would see with that is the monetary cap's gonna mean different things in different parts of the state. So if you put, let's say, $250, that doesn't go as far in Little Rock or Northwest Arkansas as it does in Union County. And so, I mean, you could buy every realtor in Union County a catfish dinner for $250, whereas it may not go very far at all in other parts of the state. So
size offices.
Right. So I think that I would be hesitant to put cap on it. I think the real question here is going to be the difference between marketing and an ethical violation of buying referrals. And I think that's maybe what needs to be defined, whether that's through a rule or a decision by this board. What is the difference between marketing yourself and buying referrals? Because there is a difference. And I think that's what needs to be defined. That would probably clear up a lot of this. As far as this question that was asked, I mean, basically he's asking, can I give $1,000 to this real estate organization? I would be hesitant to answer this yes or no. It's more complicated than that. And I think that the answer has to be something like, this is what you need to look out for. Are you being put on the list? Do you, maybe if it's not an actual list, are you going on a preferred recommendation? Right, as a preferred vendor or something like that. And it may not be something you can prove where, well, here's the list and your name is on it, but it would have to be proven you've gotten 8 of the last 10 recommendations from this one person and you gave $1,000 and nobody else did. So
they raise a red flag.
That's right. So there's no easy way to prove something like this. And basically you would have to turn this onto the appraiser. Because there's onto the home inspector. There are 3 home inspectors sitting here. Whatever cap we decided to come up with, I bet all 3 of you would have a different number. And this entire board would have a different as well. But I think if you do make the distinction between marketing and buying referrals, you could say, well, marketing could be limited at this, or these activities would be allowed, or something like that.
Well, but in what context also, right? What
That's
about,
right.
I mean, $1,000 to a realtor is different than $1,000 on a billboard that's oriented. But I think the follow-up question here is, what do you receive for your $1,000?
That's right.
Is it your name on a table with a branding opportunity for exposure? Or is it, this is the best inspector in our area, one of the top, whatever. So I think that's the follow-up is what do you get for your
What
donation?
is the quid pro quo?
So I look at it, what can this board do today, or, moving forward with this? And to me, it's twofold. One, it's when there is a violation, hit hard. So we're weeding out those bad ones that just match, just say all is well, those deal winners.
Yeah.
We work hard to push those guys out of the industry through heavy enforcement, strong enforcement. And then secondly,
like Aaron was saying, just, put the onus on remind home inspectors that, this is a potential ethics violation. You're dancing close to the ledge here. It's up to you to decide whether you're dancing over it or not. You could be subject to board disciplinary action, harsh disciplinary action if you do this quid pro quo. Tread lightly, and just let them judge where they want to be on it. And
I think Aaron said it best. You can market all you want to market. You can spend all the money you want to spend marketing. But you can't buy business. It's just that clear.
exactly, and leave the burden with this rule in mind. If you get turned in, somebody feels like you've crossed it, penalties will be hard.
If you're marketing or you're buying business. I don't know how the hell we're gonna do that.
Yeah.
But.
It's case by case, it's the only way you could, right?
But then again, I think you're being unfair to the home inspector, because if you say you can market and Aaron has said this as well, you gotta define what that is.
Yeah.
You can't put these guys out there and tell them they've gotta make a decision and not tell them what marketing means.
Oh.
You've gotta put some sort of,
And then we'll be tripping over ourselves trying to sort it out case by case.
yes, because,
Yeah,
and then we're gonna be
unified.
sorting it out case by case after it's already happened. By and large, every one of the home inspectors, by and large, not in every case. The best one is not in here. But by and large, the home inspector just wants to do the right thing. They want to follow whatever the rules the board have in place. They want to do it. But we gotta tell them better, we gotta give them better instructions as to what that is.
Is it as simple as you can give to an organization where maybe I wouldn't even say a company, but giving to the realtors organization is not marketing to a specific realtor or realtor company. Expecting referrals.
They, in Northeast Arkansas, the Realty Association, they actually sell memberships as an affiliate. You buy in for, $250 a year, and on their website through their Northeast Arkansas Realtor Association, you're listed as an affiliate. This is contractors, plumbers, electricians, home inspectors, anybody that offers an auxiliary or ancillary service, can buy in. Does that apply?
That to me sounds like buying for exchange of your own preferred list for vendors.
So it needs to buy.
We'll just have to grab that money.
I mean, it needs to buy.
So I think as a board, there's a couple ways that, in my mind, there's a couple ways we can help. One would be defining what that looks like. Like we probably need to put a committee together to define what that looks like. And then two, when I don't know how hard it would be for guys like me, because I don't work. To tell you the truth, I don't want any more work. I'm covered up. So I don't go into the offices every day like I did the first year of my life. Inspecting, trying to round it. I don't have to do that anymore. But if somebody would have taught me how to market on the front end, it would make my life a whole lot easier. So why don't we offer something for new inspectors on, because it's how you market your business and it's how you do it correctly. Does that make sense? We could charge for it, or we could offer it as an onboarding as becoming an inspector, one of the two. But I think that's the two things as a board that we should do. Like,
You go to a CE class.
I mean,
Ethical marketing practice.
because if what we do for a board, if we're helping our licensors or licensees, and we're protecting the community, or that would be our diligence in my mind.
If you want to do it something like the onboarding, it could be something similar to like our supervisor training.
You'd have to be careful there though, about how much we could require from an appraiser, because they wanted to that. Statutory thing to require. But, and I agree, it's necessary. Maybe it's just a voluntary class people can take.
Yeah. Well, again, it's a very fine line between marketing and buying business. I would I'd hate to see us get sued for denying Sarah the ability to market.
True. Well, this really is less for guys like, it's more for the guys coming in, who just started that need to get it front, so.
There's a lot of older guys too that call, that contact wanting to know, hey, can I do this?
Can we define as some kind of like a tangible exchange or proven exchange of something?
Can we-
You know, is there some legal verbiage that can help us?
I'd have to.
Yeah, let's table it, and the three of y'all put your heads together.
That would be a FOIA violation, so that belongs to.
Word for it.
They know, you know, they know.
I know to record.
Awesome. All right, the better idea is submit your recommendations on how to move forward to Diana and how to define marketing versus buying.
Awesome.
Okay,
Yes.
any other new business? Next board meeting is May 15th at 10 o'clock. If nothing else, I will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank y'all.
Elysia, we're done.